Try nasty, bros. If you're watching this, you are about to run your half-iron dog, and I am not there to support you. It's tragic, I know, but I have kept my promise of providing you with inspiration before you embark on this adventure. So, let's begin this pep talk with some facts surrounding today. It's really early in the morning, and more than likely you would much rather be asleep than stretching or warming up and whatever else you're doing right now. Your stomach probably hurts, and you probably need to take a poop. You're wishing that you had tickets to the Celtics Magic game tonight, because I wish I did. You want to drop a tacti nuke. You probably want a buff Tindy sand and some BFCs. You're wondering what's going to happen on Lost this week. You're anxious and nervous and ready to see what this day has in store for you. Give or take some of these. Does this pretty accurately describe how you're feeling today? Yes? No? Doesn't really matter either way, because I'm going to keep going with this pep talk. Right this instant, thousands of people are descending upon Disney World to take part in the very same event you are. About 2,500 to participate and thousands more to observe the spectacle. It's too late now to pull out. But then again, neither of you two would ever pull out, would you? It's going to be one of the largest, most monumental events you will ever take part in, and it is something to be relished. It is something that you will never forget. Now, let's get away from all this small talk and get into some things that really matter. I spent a lot of time looking for an inspirational story to tell you guys, to get you psyched up and to get your adrenaline going, but they were all so cliche. I've already used Lance Armstrong in a speech before, so he was out. Michael Jordan has been used over and over again, so I couldn't use him. Then I looked at athletes like Muhammad Ali and Michael Phelps and Dana Torres. And all these people achieved great things, but they were always great. They didn't have to overcome ridiculous odds, and let's just face it, a child prodigy story is not nearly as inspiring as the underdog story. So, just for fun, I looked at guys like Craig Alexander and Chris McCormack and Chris Lieto because you can relate to them. And all of these guys are just incredible athletes. They're just natural beasts. They didn't have to come from behind and beat insurmountable odds. They were just born with a gift. The one story that I liked the most was the one of Tiger Woods' 2008 U.S. Open, where he won with a broken leg. But after thinking about it, I decided that you two would make fun of me entirely too much if I used Tiger Woods as an inspiration. So, I settled on this. I'm going to use you two as an inspiration to inspire yourselves. I bet you didn't see that coming. Lieutenant General Shepard once said, "History is written by the victor." And when I say victor, I mean a little different tense than he does. I believe that everyone in your triathlon today can be the victor, especially you two, because I know how much it means to you. I'm not saying that the only way to be the victor is to cross the finish line first, but it is to achieve the goals you have set out for yourself today, whether it simply be finishing the race or doing it under a certain time. If you give it all you've got and reach the goals you have set forth for yourself, then you will indeed be the victor. So I challenge you with this. Be the victor today and write the history you want written. Do something that you can be proud of and that other people will be inspired to hear. Write a story in your own personal history books that you can reflect on for future inspiration, and that you will be proud to tell your friends and your family and your children in the future. Years down the road, you need to be able to turn the pages in your book of memories and read the story of the 5'7" aerospace major who was sick in the weeks leading up to this race, who was skeptical and worn out but never gave up. Even in the face of constant criticism and sickness, he kept pushing, he kept swimming, he kept biking, he kept running. He may not have always been able to breathe through his nose, but he was always willing to push himself a little further for the cause. Or the story of the frat boy whose time was stretched too thin to manage, but his heart was too big to give up. He was swamped with school, his fraternity, his band, his work, but still found time to do what was right. When he moved off to work full-time, he kept training and worked even harder, even though his time was pulled even thinner. He woke up early and stayed up late just to train. He kept pushing himself to do better than before, and one success was never enough. It was always a stepping stone to another one. These are the stories that inspire me, and that's why I'm using them today to try to inspire you. You too don't need to hear some bullshit story about someone who was hurt and worked harder than everyone else to achieve something, because you too have lived it. In a matter of hours, you will face one of the most daunting physical challenges of your life. What lies before you is 70.3 miles of water, dirt, and asphalt. As awful as that sounds, it's just a drop in the bucket to all the blood, sweat, and tears you have already poured into this event. The hardest part is already over. All that's left to do is to go out and enjoy what you have worked so hard for. I have two more quotes to share with you before I close and leave you on your way. The first is by a man who needs no introduction besides King James himself. After his 7th career postseason triple-double and crushing loss to the Boston Celtics, LeBron said, "You have to go through a lot of nightmares before you realize your dream." So, I challenge you with this. Go out there today and live your dream. Finally, a quote from the man himself, Lou Holtz. You knew I could not go through an entire inspirational speech without mentioning Lou. Holtz once said, "God did not put humans on this earth to be ordinary. So go out there today and be extraordinary." His Notre Dame team went on to win the national title that day. How true this quote is. I know I catch a lot of flack from you two for liking Lou Holtz, but you can't deny the old man's passion. If you two go out there today and try as hard as you've trained, you will do something extraordinary. You will be the victor in your own mind and in the minds of thousands of onlookers. So go now, realize your dream, be the victor, and write a chapter in your own history book worth sharing with the world.